Welcome to Jumpseat Therapy, brought to you by Active Mind Counseling. Jumpseat Therapy is a mindfulness program designed for flight attendants and other airline professionals to help recognize and navigate burnout while rediscovering your passion for flying. Crew dynamics. In this module, we will explore crew dynamics through the theory of group formation. With this knowledge, we may be better able to understand why some of our colleagues do what they do. We are cleared to land. Imagine, you just boarded an aircraft after attending a crew briefing for an international departure. The purser reviewed the details of the flight and reviewed service standards and expectations. The purser highlighted that even though the flight is full, the eye masks and menus should be hand-delivered to passengers in economy, as per the airline's service standard. After stowing your luggage and performing your safety checks, you begin to prepare the cabin for boarding. A senior flight attendant hands you a stack of menus and tells you to put one on each seat. You state that you thought they were to be hand-delivered. The other flight attendant acknowledges the request, but states, "The flight is full. I'm not climbing over people to hand out menus." On one hand, you want to follow the standards. On the other hand, you will be directly working with this other flight attendant for the entire trip. Additionally, you know the purser will be too busy with boarding in business class to pay attention to economy. Scenarios like this play out daily at every airline. Although it's imperative for flight attendants to work together, due to the shuffling of crews, many crew members are just meeting each other for the first time at briefing. This creates a phenomenon in which group formation dynamics come into play. Knowing how groups work can help you navigate working with unfamiliar crew members. Just like a flight has various stages, such as boarding, takeoff, cruise, descent, and landing, groups also have various stages. Psychologist Bruce Tuckman conceptualized group development into 4 phases: forming, storming, norming, and performing. Let's explore each of these stages as it applies to crew dynamics. In group development, forming is when group members first come together to learn about challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. The team then begins to develop a common goal, and responsibilities are delegated to help achieve this. More experienced members may begin to model appropriate behavior for the less experienced members. In crew dynamics, this stage is when the crew first meets. Whether you are flying a domestic trip, where the crew briefly meets on the aircraft, or an international itinerary with a more intense pre-departure briefing, this stage can set the tone for the rest of the trip. First impressions mean a lot in this stage. One of the biggest challenges in this phase is for crew in non-leadership roles to relinquish control and for flight leaders to realize that not all crew members may be familiar with the nuances of their style. Storming is the phase when challenges arise. Members may test the limits of authority by doing tasks how they want instead of how the leader designated. Group hierarchy is formed, and roles begin to be defined. Disagreements, power struggles, and alliances may form. This phase does not happen with all groups, but when it does, it requires strong leadership to move through it. When working as a flight attendant, this phase usually occurs once on board, but may start as soon as the briefing. After crew members settle in, they may default to their way of doing things. In the example at the beginning of this chapter, a flight attendant may just ignore instructions. Depending on the level of attunement the flight leaders have to their crew, this phase may end before takeoff or last through the entire first service. Norming is the stage of group development where standards are normalized throughout the group. In the case where there is weak leadership, this phase may feel like a protracted version of storming, where chaos and anarchy are the norm for the group. Other times, this is when a leader has addressed concerns, mediated conflict, and enforced behavioral limits. As crew, this is the phase when the crew moves from defining their roles to operating within them. If a flight leader has detected and mitigated inconsistencies, this is when the crew begins to operate according to standard. Crew members feel comfortable speaking up when they see inconsistencies from colleagues. When a group enters the performing stage, group norms have been established and roles defined. The group is focused on a common goal and is working towards it. Less redirection is needed from leadership. If a crew has successfully progressed through the previous 3 stages, a crew will reach the performing stage. Think of it like being on autopilot. The crew knows what is expected of them and performs the tasks without much guidance. This is where you know your colleagues' areas of strength and weakness. For example, some flight attendants are better at diplomatically addressing problematic passenger behavior. If trouble erupts in the cabin, the crew will know which member to call on to address the conflict. A group may regress to a previous phase when there have been changes. Irregular operations and crew scheduling changes may facilitate a change in crew complement. When these changes occur, it's important for the flight lead, captain, or purser to gently guide the crew back to the performing stage. It is important to address additional factors that can affect crew dynamics. Flight attendants are usually one of the largest, if not the largest, work group at an airline. Therefore, each crew complement comes with a wide range of backgrounds and experience. For some, this may be their first and only airline that they have worked for. For others, this is a career change. And of course, there are the flight attendants who have worked for many airlines and have experienced mergers, bankruptcies, and the roller coaster-like ups and downs this industry has to offer. Remember that each flight attendant's unique experience brings a fresh perspective to the job. A colleague discussing how things used to be done may not actually be pining for their old airline, but rather they are coping with the many changes they have experienced in their long storied career. A junior flight attendant that gets excited over standard operations should be allowed their enthusiasm. We were all junior stews at some point in time. Would our younger selves have liked someone raining on our parade? You have completed this Jumpseat Therapy module on crew dynamics. We've included several worksheets to help you reflect on the various stages of group formation, reflect on past flying experiences, and become mindful of your unique working style. For more resources, visit activemindcounseling.com.